Salt cell flow. I backwash my filters and wash my salt cell with muriatic acid regularly. Even with no DE in the system, my water flow seems slower than it should. What would be the implications of plumbing two outlets for flow, one for the salt cell and the second for unrestricted flow? Presuming high flow water is a major key to filtering and maintaining water, is there an ideal setup for optimal flow, i.e. cartridge versus DE or sand?
So first off, I think there's a fundamental flaw in the idea of what you're currently doing. You should never run your system without DE. If you run your system without DE, you are very rapidly going to decrease your flow. So what happens is with the DE, as soon as you're done backwashing, you need to put DE back into that system because the DE packs over the grids. And once it packs over the grids, that's the filtration. If there's nothing there but the grid, any debris at all stops immediately the flow through the grid system. So if you run it for a few hours without DE in it, your pressure is going to skyrocket, and which means your flow is going to go way down. So first and foremost, I think always run it with DE. Immediately upon backwashing, get the proper amount of DE back in there, and you're going to see a better flow rate no matter what. Touching on the other two things, a sand filter versus a cartridge filter. While sand is the simplest, it does not take out quite as small of debris as a DE filter. It's just very convenient and it's very easy. DE filter you're going to get better micron filtration. You'll get real similar filtration with a cartridge filter as well. There's some debate whether one's better versus another. If you live in an area where there's a lot of iron in the water, that could play as to which one to go with. But as long as your filter is working properly and you have the proper amount of DE in the filter, you shouldn't have any issue on a flow. And no matter what happens after the filter, as long as the water can return back to the pool, whether it's through a waterfall or through a return line or through a cleaner line or something, it shouldn't really matter. So what you'd want to do, depending on all of the features that you have, is it all has to do with sizing of the plumbing. Smaller plumbing is just restrictive and doesn't allow enough flow in any one of those places that you're sending water. So I guess from what I do know about the question, first thing is always run with DE, and you'll be surprised on how much flow you maintain.